All right. Well, welcome back to uh what what are we welcoming back to? It's been such a long time. Um I guess I'm just, fuck it. I'm just going to get right into it because I just feel like it's the only way I'm going to really get everything out the way that I want to. And give me a little sippy sip. Use ASMR? Yeah? No? Okay, no ASMR. Okay. So, um welcome to season 2. Is it okay if I do seasons? I'm gonna do seasons. You guys can't stop me. I'm too powerful at this point. Um, so welcome to season 2, self-proclaimed season 2, actually, of the podcast. I leveling with Mick. And if you guys have been here since the advent of this adventure, you know that originally this I never really kind of called it a podcast. I think I was kind of always like up in the air about how I wanted to approach it. Well, too bad. Now I'm standing up in my shit. It is now a podcast. Officially. Will it be posted other places? I don't know. Maybe like the video format version is going to be on YouTube, and then if I decide to post like the podcast on social media, like or well, it's not social media. It's not social media, but like Spotify, Apple Podcast, whatever, any of that stuff. If I decide to post it there, I'll figure that part out. But as of right now, just a YouTube format. So let's get to the brass task of it all. We're back, right? We're doing the podcast. It's leveling with Mick, but so this is the prelude episode, basically like episode 0 of season 2. I'm saying seasons because I'm changing the vision of how I want this to go, and I think that's going to be important and why the seasons thing is going to matter. Um, so originally I'm still going to keep the name leveling with myth, leveling not myth. I'm Mick, not myth. Oh my god, leveling with Mick. I think that the podcast is something that I thought would be interesting to do, just a thing to just kind of talk. And I thought like the idea, like the name and like the play on the words, I think was also really interesting. So we're just gonna kind of go back to the roots, and reimagine what I want to come of this. And so I think that's gonna be something that's gonna be very interesting to see. So first and foremost, what is the podcast about? What is it going to be about going forward? How am I going to approach this? So, leveling with Mick is the name of the game, right? It is a play on words because the idea was, of course, I wanted it to be like strictly a video format thing because I would be showing a video of me leveling. As you can see, that's what's showing in the video, right? But then also the idea is that like not like leveling where in a game you are in fact leveling up, like the grind part of it, but also leveling in that it's like coming to terms with something. Like you are like basically having not a I wouldn't say heart to heart because it's not going to be like all that deep. Maybe I don't know. I get on tangents, but just like a thing where it just kind of we have a space to talk, and that's like the idea, right? I just want a space to talk about stuff that will be related to the channel, overall in the industry, in the gaming world, things like that that I see that I feel like would be interesting to talk about. Um, which is a great segue because then we can talk about what are we going to be doing on the podcast. What is the podcast about? One of the great things about is it great? It wasn't great actually. When I originally started the podcast, and it's funny because one of my friends recently started YouTube and is also possibly thinking about doing a podcast, and inquired about possibly getting on here as well. And I'm not opposed to the idea, of course. Anybody can join the podcast. If you've watched some of the other episodes, I had one episode where I had a couple of my friends on here. I don't give a fuck. Anybody can get on here. The what I think when I was going over topics, right? Because he's not like super into gaming, but he like plays games and stuff. And so like when I was looking at the topics to think of like, well, what kind of topic would I think would what I wrote out already, because I predetermined a bunch of topics already in the notebook. So I have a bunch of things to talk about. But when I was looking at the topics, I was really thinking, I was like, wow, everything that I picked was always geared towards MMOs. And the reason why there's is like this resurgence and this like new direction is because I don't play only MMOs anymore. Like I feel like I've branched out kind of, and I play other games. I mean, I've always played other games. I've never like just strictly played MMOs, but like I don't even think I've really actively played an MMO at the current moment. So like to just kind of sit down and talk about it, it just, although something that I'm passionate and I do like, it's just that I'm just not doing that regularly. And I also wanted to kind of branch out. I didn't want to be stuck to just talking about MMOs. I want to talk about other games and stuff. I don't even mind talking about like realistic shit, like the things that are happening IRL. But I also want to still kind of keep it gaming related. And so like basically how gaming can influence some of these things, maybe how things are in the world are impacting gaming, and maybe not even just that, just kind of like in the Twitch and YouTube scene, like which I'm not very a part of. Let me just say I don't know a lot about, but it's just different stuff that I see that people talk about, and I think it'd be cool having just episodes where we just talk about bullshit. Also, is also fun. It's just a space that I can use to be able to kind of talk shit mostly, and yeah, that's kind of really the purpose of the podcast. And so to go back to the story, after looking at the topics and thinking about what things he could join, I realized that most of those topics were MMO centric, and that's not what I want to be. That's not what I want this podcast to be about. And so I am gonna be moving forward, opening up the topics that are be available. And so the idea would be that I'd have a wider variety of topics to talk about. So of course I'll still talk about the MMO stuff, things that I think are interesting and cool to talk about new games. That PS5 is a thing that's like something people are going to be talking about. But then also just kind of talking about, anything else, mostly gaming stuff, right? And maybe some funny topics or whatever about like gaming stuff, like that one episode I did where it was the perfect MMO with my friends, right? That was like the longest episode of this podcast. It's like 2 hours, and it was just us talking about like what would be the perfect game for us, and that wasn't like a real topic, so I think it wasn't addressing. It was just a fun gab episode, really, where we just talked. So that's the vision, right? I want to kind of expand what I've been talking about before, what I've been used to, give myself an opportunity to be able to just kind of have a chance to talk, right? And I don't think that I have a lot of things to say in particular. I just think that sometimes it's just fun to get some of that stuff out. I sit in my room a lot and I talk to myself a lot, so why not just make it a thing where I talk to this? So yes, I will be bringing people on. I have friends who are willing to be on like IRL, but then also getting some of my internet friends to be on here as well, people that I know that'll be interested in talking about different topics. I don't have the traction and the fan base and things like that to support me doing a lot of these things or whatever, but honestly I just do them for fun, and I think this would be fun, and I just wanted to kind of get that stuff out. So going forward, the podcast, I want to have a set schedule, but if I don't, the podcasts are obviously going to be really the easiest things to get put out, right? So I think I could easily do a podcast and a video every week. So I'll basically have 2 pieces of content coming out every single week. I just don't know if I'll have a lot to say every podcast or something to talk about every week. I don't know. I'll have to figure some stuff out. But yeah, so the goal will be that I'm looking to make each of the episodes somewhere between like wherever, but I know a lot of podcasts are not like super super short. Some of them are. Yeah, I mean there are ones that are out there that are short, I think. If I have like a really big topic or a couple of things to kind of talk about, then sure. Like even now, I'm sitting here doing this, and this is of course going to be a short one because it's just a prelude. But even now, it's still like, dang, I have so much time, and I don't know if I still have enough to talk about. Um, but yeah, so I don't. The timing is going to be kind of wherever. I know that I'm gonna try not to have them be like super short, where it's just like, well, this is barely a podcast, which is I guess why I didn't want to officially say it was. I don't want the pressure of having to talk for so long. I talk at work, guys. I'm so tired of talking. I do it all the time. So that is a thing, and so yeah, I don't know. I think it's gonna be interesting. I think having some of my friends on and having like banter, even bringing in people who don't know much about gaming, I think will honestly be pretty interesting just to get certain topics out and like have them weigh their thoughts in on just like from a outsider's perspective. Because I think sometimes when you're in a certain industry or space, you're used to a certain way people think, and sometimes if you get outsider's viewpoint, I think that can make things a little bit refreshing. So I think that'll be pretty interesting to see, honestly. So I might even just bring in people who literally know nothing about games, depending on the topic, of course. But that'll be the plan. Um, yeah, I think this will be an interesting ride. I'm not, like I said, I'm not 100% sure how often the episodes are going to come out yet. I want to try to get a handle on um, the YouTube thing first. Like if I can see that I can just get the content out without relying on, podcast episodes, then I will of course do the podcast separately and probably do those twice, two uploads a week, where one is the actual video, one is the podcast, and then just kind of going back and forth. Um, so that's the plan. We'll see how that really, levels out really and truly. Um, so just a brief quick note, because I'm pretty much done here for the pre episode. I'm just going to talk about the channel itself, since I'm going to be is airing on the channel. So definitely, guys, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and follow me on Twitter or Twitch, because everything is Mikklock, so I'm super easy to find everywhere. And that's Mikklock. That's if you're somewhere where this is just audio, if in the future, and you're not on my like YouTube channel or anything like that, that'll be what it is. So follow me on all these places. I'm going to be trying to post different types of content. I'm going to be trying to get into different types of games, and I'm not going to follow the same vision that I did before. I'm going to be trying to find my space, like posting content that I like. And one of the things is this podcast. I like podcasts. I think they're cool. And I know this is kind of like a rudimentary. I don't know which one of those mentries are the thing, but yeah. So that's gonna be the plan. So this week is just this podcast. Next week I'll be posting an actual video. Maybe I will do a podcast episode as well. No guarantees. Don't look at me like that. I know that you're feeling. I'm still a person, and I'm trying to put my life together, one huggy leg at a time. You know what I'm saying? So just let me figure my shit out, and then we'll go from there. So with that being said, that's it. Like I said, follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter, subscribe on the YouTube channel. I have an Instagram. You can follow me on there too. Every single one of those things is Mikklock. I am so easy to find because I'm so lazy and having different names everywhere. Thank the heavens I was able to get all of those. Honestly, while the going is low, I got my stuff, because when my prices go up, you know what I'm saying, they're going to be able to afford me. Maybe, but you gotta say that, but yeah, so follow me on everywhere, to be posted. Like I said, we'll see how this kind of goes. Hope you guys enjoy the journey with the video content on YouTube, with the podcast episodes wherever they end up being, and even the live streams when I finally get back to doing that as well. I'm going to be trying to be everywhere. That's going to be the goal, having a lot of different avenues of places where people can find me, and just interesting things that I like to do, instead of just being in my room yelling at the walls consistently like I'm a madman. All right, so y'all be breezy, stay 10 toes down. Mikk out.